Hey, Luigi, you remember me? I'm the one that said nobody died, nobody get hurt. Look at this. This is the idea of the Joker, the character, the suspected assassin, ass. If you take a look at this character, what is the actual message that's being asked? It's not the idea of justice for the CEO. It's the idea if this guy's hot, this Jew, this Jewess, this false idea, this false light, this demon. Is that what's considered hot these days? This is Revenge of the Nerds. This Revenge of the Nerds is the playing out of the last day's history. The nerds are the ones who are being put in front of you as being these characters of influence. Now, if you take a look at this character in particular, I want to show you this. I did this chart. Now, if you read the story, they're gonna have the Pokemon connection, going out, the idea of a Pokemon character that evolves from the Shroomish at level 23. The idea about 23 is as you know, is the concern at the ring. So the concern for the ring, the idea of senses. Are your senses 5? 2 plus 3 is 5. Are your 5 senses brought into it, thus making it present? All right. Does it evolve, become present? All right. You also see the social media posts where the character had 286. You also notice that these are all within what's called a conspiracy theory of 286. I'm going to tell you what 286 means. Now then, the crime scene, so away from the fish, the tuna. Some of these names up in the northeast of the United States, all the sound of them, they have ugly, nasty sounding city names. Just gross. The accent, just the whole everything. Healthcare denial code is 286. The idea of indicating a claim not appealed. All right, not appealed. That means that there's not an action. An action has not been taken. All right. 286 as far as Proverbs. So 28:6. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than a rich man who is crooked in his ways. That, of course, goes back to the idea of Lazarus and the rich man, and Lazarus in the bosom of Abraham, and the rich man asking, "Can you just, Lazarus?" Because the idea of treatment still, of the idea of kindness, being tested, the idea of Thanksgiving and Christmas and all this nonsense I'll get to in a minute. So then the old man, "Can't you just, drop just a drop of water on my tongue?" And he's like, there's a gulf there, a gap, a void that cannot be crossed. You can no longer participate in this. You have chosen. You have decided that you don't know. You have decided to say, "I don't know. There is no way to know." You have forsaken Christ and you have died for the world. So I'm asking you, for Christ's sake, not for yours, for Christ's sake, ask Christ to call you in, and you will be invited. You will be given the mind of Christ, and you will be free of this system while you still exist here physically. At least you're not fooled until they dissipate by the fools. All right? 286. Concern, details, present. So concern for the details present. Remember, you're always looking in the idea of the 8. The idea of the crossing. So where then is the crossing? What is the idea and what crossing or what series of ideas is being fed to you. First, the idea of looks. You know, what does the character look like? Is it appealing? I find Nostradamus here is that looks like a manipulated photo for a reason, to make him look like a pig, because he's a pig. He's the idea of the demon. D-A-E-M-O-N, the idea of an idea that self-replicates within your mind if you choose to believe this nonsense. Because if you do, what is the next step for anyone who goes into this little guy right here? You have to then consume more details, all right? And that's where this 286 idea comes in. So if you look at the 286 and the so-called the Proverbs, that's the idea of just an observation, all right? It's not saying that the poor man then goes and beats the rich man over the head and takes his money. That's not what that says. However, if you go to the Quran, 286, Allah does not require of any soul more than what it can afford. That idea is a direct shot at the entire so-called United Health Care industry. It's the exact same idea that Luigi Mangione, if you look at the anagram, is you are imagining the reason that this character did this. And through the so-called 286 conspiracy code, there are the clues given to you to what this actual demon, which is just simply an executed idea in your mind, what its actual tentacles look like. Now to look at the tentacles and what is the actual purpose of this. It's to give cover. You notice they're running polls on who thinks it's a good idea. You know, who's the idea of jury nullification idea. The idea that the population says what the man did is fine, let him go. Give us Barbarous. All right? The murderer, give us Barbarous. Do not give us life. We would rather die for death's sake, is what the crowd is yelling for. That's what they would have you to believe. Because again, Allah does not require of any soul more than what it can afford. Notice that unlike the biblical scripture, this then goes to the end. So grant at the very end. So grant us victory over the disbelieving people. They're still looking for a fight. It's still the idea of jihad. It's still the idea that you have some physical thing, some physical work you have to complete in this space to be right in the eyes of God, meaning to be accepted, to be acceptable, to be an offering. When all you have to do is accept the free gift that Christ is offering. When Christ knocks, you listen. You are instructed. You are given the mind of Christ. You are given true freedom, true living water. And then you are on the other side of the gap. You are on the other side of the void. And while you're going to have men who are seen like this CEO character, and who are seen even by people in your own life, men who claim one thing and yet they live another. They live quite deliciously. They have money. They have they feel as if all their needs and desires are being met. However, most of them do things because there's little desires that aren't met. There's carnal desires that aren't met. So they'll go out and they'll seek that out through internet interaction, through just you can hear it in their voice, their tone of speech, what topics they bring up. That's where the mind's at. If what they bring up is the gutter, that's where you had to go to meet them. So the idea is, do you join that in the gutter, or do you stand them up and say, do better? All right. I wanted to show you this. Hold on. To get back to just simple, identifying these stories. 286. It's being fed to the audience. 286. 2 plus 8 plus 6 is 16. All right. The idea of 1 plus 6 is 7. 7, as you know, is the idea of the Zion or the mind. The crooked stick. All right. It's also, as you know, and I've told you before, within the Phoenician script, which is that of the world, fallen world, I should say, used by those who you would see as so-called Jews. Within the book of Revelation talks about these characters. The banks, the movies, the news, all of it run by these characters who have the mind of Satan or the fallen. And of course, you know, the Catholics and the so-called Jews, the ones with the boxes on their head, the evangelicals, the this for Jesus, the that for Jesus, all those different groups are in fact laity of those Jews. G-E-W, 7. The G is the 7th English letter. That is why you see within the Masonic hoax, you see the G. That is the light that is worshipped by those of the world, those who are of Mammon. All right? Now then, if you take a look, I want to show you this. Yeah. Here we go. So now 286, if you want to go ahead and look at different ideas, which will, of course, cross with all this, is you can look at Deuteronomy 28:6, Proverbs 28:6, 1 Samuel, Job. You notice that Job is like, that is the job. That is an instruction. That is showing you a character which is you. And through your own life, your own trials and tribulations, you are on the same path, or you are on the opposite. You are on the wicked way. Psalms, Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel. If you read those, that will give you a better idea of what this story is about. And if you wanted to look at another verse in the so-called Quran, take a look at verse 86. There are the ones who trade and hereafter, there are the ones who trade the hereafter for the life of this world, which I just told you about. So their punishment will not be reduced, nor will they be helped, because they will simply dissipate. All right? Now then you have to ask yourself, are you going to die for this guy? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to die for this pig? This piece of bacon? I would suggest you take the time to stop looking at the visual presentation, dismiss that, and start to look at the script. The script, whether it be scripture of this side, the other side, or a third side. If the truth is contained within the script, the scripture is going to show it. All of this is put in front of you for a reason. Do you notice? Look at that too, by the way. You can see the idea of a 7 in there. I know you can. Do you notice this? The idea of pardon and forgiveness has also been in the so-called news. The idea of pardoning something even so heinous as a murder on the streets of New York? How ridiculous. Right? So then it goes into this idea of the reverse. Instead of shooting the rich man, you simply tell the rich man. And when they tell you they've done all these great things and, you know, they fed the poor guy, he'll say, there's still one thing you haven't done. Go and sell all your possessions and give your money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me. And that is when most of you that I'm talking to, and most of your friends and neighbors, your face will fall and you will go away. Sad, but rich in possession and free of life itself. Be blessed.